Predominantly, I go back and forth between two characters, the maid, Jane, and Lord Edgar. And then I have to also play the vampire, and I have to play the old wife, Irma, who's dead. But it actually turns out to, without giving it, it's more complicated than that. So most of it is going back and forth between Lord Edgar and Jane, the maid. And Jane is, she's an Irish gal, and she talks a bit like that, and she's actually quite evil, and she turns out to be the one who pretty much has done everyone off. And Lord Edgar is a bit of a twit, and he's really rather clueless, and he goes to Egypt, and he's not sure if he really loves Enid, his wife, or if he's still in love with Lady Irma. So, and he's got a mustache that has to be penciled on, and Jane has wigs and full maid outfit dresses, and Lord Edgar has riding boots and jackets and ascots and whatnot. And so in 15 seconds or less, sometimes you have to walk out one door as Jane and come in the next door, the other door as Edgar. I mean, there are different parts of the whole process of making a piece of theater, and each step has aspects to it that I love, because I've done a lot of writing and a lot of creating. There's a part of when you're coming up with an idea and you're sort of finding, and you don't know at all yet what the show is, but you have these little hunches of there's a great something right there, and that's going to become fantastic. And like knowing and being a part of those moments when something is sort of discovered or an idea is hatched, those are really thrilling. Then there's those moments in rehearsal that only happen in rehearsal because something's happening for the first time, and in the room, everybody in the room knows, oh my God, that's fantastic, or that is really funny, or that's heartbreaking. And those moments happen for the first time, and those are thrilling. Then, really, I think the greatest thrill as an actor for me is once you have it so in you, you know the piece so well, you're almost to the point where you're sick of it, but you have a great crowd in the theater, and everything is, you own it, you have the piece so at your fingertips, and then you can push it a little bit this way. The crowd is going crazy if it's a comedy, and so you're able to add or find one more thing. And those little payoff moments, those little surprises, those things in front of an audience, or when you can feel the room just go dead silence, and they're right with you, and they're just, you know, on the edge of their seat for what is the next thing that's going to come out of your mouth, or the next moment that's going to happen. It's that level of theatricality that when you take it in any direction, whether it's toward tragedy or towards comedy, that's where you're trying to go. And what's most beautiful usually is when the two coexist. They're just right next to each other, which again, going back to Moliere, that was his brilliance. He put the two right next to each other, which I think is true of a lot of other great examples of usually some of the best comic actors, or the comic actors that I've really loved to watch, usually have this tragic edge right next to them, right behind them. Everybody from Peter Sellers to Gene Wilder to even Lucille Ball. There was something right behind it, because she wanted to be a great, gorgeous movie star, but she wasn't. She was a clown. And so that yin-yang push-pull between those two elements, I think, always leads to something very, very often very, very funny. But if you go in another direction, it can be quite moving. So I'm always looking for that, even in the most hilarious stuff. And then when I've had the opportunity to do something that's actually more in the realm of tragedy, it's, you have to, I think you bring that playful comic sensibility that the comic actor sort of understands. If you bring that to tragedy, you find other things that if you just go at it serious, you'll never find.